Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the latest edition of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. Before we get started, if you're listening to this on our audio platform, please give us a 5-star rating and please give us and download this episode. I am so excited because one of my favorite artists of today, who's an Epic Records recording artist, is visiting us today. As of this recording, he has over 3.6 thousand YouTube subscribers. He has over 20,300 Instagram followers and 122,000 TikTok followers. And he has over, as of this recording again, 256,000 Spotify listeners monthly. So please help me welcome the fabulous Philmon Lee to the podcast.
What's up?
Philmon, it's an honor to finally meet you. Thank you so much for taking time in your schedule to talk with me today. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you for doing the same.
You're so welcome. You have one of the best voices in music today, and I'm just so grateful that I followed your career, so I'm so happy that you're here.
I really appreciate that.
All right, so let's get started. So when did you get interested in music, and how did that passion evolve the desire to pursue a career in the recording industry?
A lot of people have asked me this, and I think my earliest like memory, honestly, is like I was on a tour bus at like 4 years old. My father was in a gospel quartet group, and he would take me on the bus, and we'd travel all over the Southeast. And he just taught me a lot. I heard harmony at a young age, and watching him perform. And then when I was about 10, he kind of switched over to a different genre, the complete opposite, which is like rock and roll, like Southern rock and roll. And I think it was just dope, like growing up watching him like perform in front of crowds and seeing how they react and just seeing how it affected people like live, And I just growing up, he always helped me like sing, eventually I found my own sound, but it definitely started around 4 years old. The earliest one I had, like memory I had, was definitely on a tour bus. So I give a lot of credit that to my dad, And ever since then, I just enjoyed the way it affected people by watching him. So I figured, what the hell, I might as well try to make a career out of it.
And that's amazing. That's amazing because the thing is, it's amazing to hear that you're following in your dad's footsteps. There's several people that have done it successfully. I'm looking at Miley and Thomas Rhett, but it's very interesting. Paris Jackson. Those are very interesting people who are able to follow and have success after their parent has had success.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of pressure on me starting at first because he's been doing it his whole life, but he gave me the support I needed and the extra push, and I gave myself that as well.
Awesome. So besides now, who are your biggest influences and how did they impact that your sound?
Besides my dad, another person my dad like we relentlessly like listened to was Elvis Presley. Big Elvis fan. I even got him tattooed on me. Love Elvis. I just like the impact he made on music. I mean, obviously it was a different era back then, but definitely his charisma. I watched a lot of Elvis growing up. I'm a big Post Malone fan, to be honest with you. I think he's a very unique voice. You don't hear a voice like that. And I take a lot of inspiration from Post Malone. Love The Weeknd. Sam Smith, I will say, when I was probably about 13-ish, 14-ish, I think everybody heard that first Stay With Me song by Sam Smith. And I would constantly just listen to it and all the all the runs he did and all that. And I just constantly would listen to his voice and try to copy down some of the characteristics and how he did his runs and how soft he got when he got up real high. And, and that's some of my biggest inspirations though. And definitely rock and roll, man. Like I grew up, that's why I told you when I was like 10, my dad switched over to Southern rock and just classic rock in general. I have the AC/DC Cannon. I have the Lynyrd Skynyrd Eagle. Then on the back, I got the Aerosmith Wings. So like I love that old classic rock for sure.
Absolutely. I love classic rock as well. I definitely think you picked really good with Elvis and with Aerosmith, I'm a huge fan of. I love their songs. Some of my all-time favorite hits from Aerosmith: "Dream On," "Walk This Way," and "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing." Man, every time I hear that with the orchestra, holy moly, it takes me to another level.
Crazy, even at his age now, man, he's still got a classic voice. It really doesn't sound like it's changed a bit.
Absolutely, Steven Tyler cannot do wrong. And I also got to say, Post Malone's amazing too. I admire that he could just do hip hop and go into rock like that. Like his
Oh,
stuff with Ozzy Osbourne is just absolutely amazing.
I think it's crazy the amount of different charts he's actually charted on. I think he's on pop, hip hop, rock. I wish he'd come out with that country album, man. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on YouTube, but he did 2 country songs. It's really good.
Absolutely, I definitely think Post Malone and country would be phenomenal because every and like also not to mention he also collaborated with The Weeknd, which was another great collab.
One right now. Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what have been some of the challenges that you faced continue to stay in the music industry, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
To be honest, man, I know sometimes you hear all these crazy like people like all these stories like artists go through. I don't think like I really think like the team that I have now helped me with any problems I have, which I really haven't had any since I've been in the industry. You know, my team at Epic, my team ADG, my managers, all them, like they've really helped me out. I think the only thing I've really kind of struggled with is probably being away from family. You know, like when I go on these like long trips, sometimes I'll go out to Cali for like a month or a couple weeks at a time, or I'll travel when I'm traveling or stuff like that. You know, it's just kind of because they'll always call you and you're on different time zones, and it's kind of you got to schedule around your day just to holler at them for about 10 minutes, talk to them. I think that's
I
about.
to- I totally agree because with me and my family as well, because I used to live in New York for 4 years, and then the pandemic brought me home. So I'm very grateful to now have to be more active with not just my folks, but also my nephew Nash Carey and my niece Emery. So I'm so grateful to be back in the Oakland Park area and still being able to have being access with family.
Yeah, family's definitely key. Yeah, I love my family. They've always supported me and did whatever they can to help me. So
Awesome. I would love to talk to you about some of your songs and the stories behind them.
okay,
So let's start off with Sunflower, I Refuse to Die. It's so as of this recording has over 65,000 Spotify streams.
yeah. So that one was made with Lil Ronnie, and me and Felly wrote it. Um, it was just kind of like that was. I think that was one of the first 3 records I cut when I first got signed. Because Lil Ronnie was the first person I ever worked with when I first got signed, and Fella was as well. And you know, you go into a studio session, and usually you talk for about 30 minutes, and you just kind of catch up, and you kind of like get to know each other. And then I think he asked me how I was feeling, you know, and I felt that's when I first got signed. So I was just relating to them about how I felt like everybody, not like my family, but you know, like everybody like my not necessarily my friends either, but people in my hometown, just like some people I knew didn't actually think this was going to work out for me. And you know, you always hear that, you know, you need to look forward to the future. You need to have a backup plan. And in my mind at that time, I didn't have no backup plan. I had a plan A and plan A. So you know, sunflower is one of the strongest flowers, and I just felt like you know. I just felt resilient. So that's when we came up with the concept like sunflower, I refuse to die, and all the weeds were like holding me back. And yeah, so it's definitely one of my favorite. I think it's slept on a little bit, but definitely one of
I
my favorite.
think it's a fabulous song about refusing to back down, and I think it's a wonderful track. And I'm so glad you brought the sunflower out because my home state of Kansas is definitely our state flower is the sunflower.
Yeah, sunflowers is a cool flower for sure.
Absolutely. So one of the tracks that I remember first hearing you and being in awe of your voice and your vocal runs and everything was Memories. And it's as of right now 269,000 streams on Spotify.
Yeah, that was the first record I actually cut. I knew a sunflower was like first 3 or something like that, but Memories was the first song I ever cut. And that was the first night we all met each other, Lil Ronnie and Felly. And they was just asking me like how was my life growing up, and you know I had some rough patches growing up, and that's what the songs really about. It's just like the rough passage, like patches that I went through, memories. You know, we all have good ones, we all have bad ones, but it's just something we learn from. I mean, it's just something we get to think about every single day. So yeah, that was the song I ever did with them, and I don't know, I just felt like they were the right people. I got to get vulnerable with them, and it's really like a therapy session, man. Like, how people that don't make music, they listen to music because it's therapy. When you're making it, it's the same thing. Because I mean, it's just like you're talking to a therapist, and then you get to spit all your feelings out when you record. That's why I get so emotional sometimes when I sing, because I really am, feel it.
And you give me goosebumps, and you give audiences goosebumps when you sing. It's just unbelievable.
I appreciate that.
Alrighty, you have two collaborations out. One of the most popular ones, "No Saving Me," what you did with the incredible Lindsey Stirling. That as of this recording, 1.6 million streams.
Yeah, that one up there. That's it's kind of crazy because the first three you named was kind of like the first three I ever cut. No Saving Me. Yeah, that's probably like my deepest record that I got. Like that was also made with Lil Ronnie and Philly as well. That's when I was out in college. So I don't like when I was out in college, I was away from family. I got real depressed. I was real depressed. You know what I mean? I was definitely partying too much. It was my first year in college, so definitely partying a little bit too much. Maybe not passing all my classes. Um, but yeah, I wanted to do something that I loved, and I just wasn't happy with the fact that I was going to be working. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, but in my mind, I was just like, man, I just want to be free. Like I want to be creative for the rest of my life, and music is what I loved and enjoy doing. And I was just getting real depressed, and I just felt like, man, I can't save myself from this. That means nobody else can save me. That's why we came up with a concept like "No Saving Me." And yeah, after I told him how I felt like in college, I mean, we just went from there, and the record just laid itself out pretty quick.
That's amazing. And how did Lindsey get involved?
So my past management was Greg Thompson. Greg had a relationship with Lindsay, and I think he passed it on to her team, and she liked it, and she agreed to do it. And I think well, it might have been maybe 5, maybe months after that, after she got onto it, they said we want to shoot a video for it, and they flew me out. And lo and behold, it was off the PCH in Malibu. It was one of the houses on the beach. I think it might have been maybe in September, so it was still kind of cold, and that water was freezing, and I felt really bad because she had to get in that water. Yeah, it was cold. I didn't have to get in the water all day, but she she got all ready and everything, and they went out, and she got in that Pacific Ocean, and I can guarantee you it was probably in the 30s.
Boy, especially in September, that's definitely in Malibu. That's definitely a problem to have. But I'm so glad that Lindsey was able to help you out.
I was there in May, and that water was still too cold for me. I'm used to the Gulf of Mexico. I'm in Georgia, so we got that warm water for sure.
Absolutely. So you have I want to talk about about your latest single, "Baby Don't Cry," featuring Young Thug. It's a fabulous single. I reviewed it on my on jakes-shake.com. So everyone after this interview, go over and go see it. So what did it mean to collaborate with him?
It's definitely a dream come true, man. See, I'm only 23, so I grew up. We even in high school, middle school, we were all listening to Thug, and think after the relationship got solidified, I was trying to tell some of my friends. Of course, they kind of blew it off like, "Oh, there ain't no way, man. There ain't no way, no way." And we posted something on Instagram. I was just like, all right, cool, whatever. And then we posted something on Instagram. I was in the studio with him, and he's a genuine dude, man. Very humble. I've met a couple of artists, pretty well known artists, and Doug's definitely at the top of my list for taking his time with me, talking with me, giving me gems about the music industry, and one of the coolest dudes I think I've ever met, to be honest with you.
That's incredible to hear, and especially to have the opportunity to have someone like Young Thug who has experience in the industry and talk to him about to receiving those gems. That's just unbelievable.
Yeah, he's definitely a top notch guy in my book for sure.
Awesome. So Have you thought about, in addition to Young Thug and Lindsey, have you thought about your dream collaborators, the artists, the singers, the songwriters, the musicians, and the producers, and how would they elevate your sound?
Um, I definitely always producing wise. I always like the idea of me getting with Benny Blanco, man. He's just on too many big pop records, and I think with his skills and songwriting, and I definitely think we can make something special. Like I said earlier, Weekend, Post Malone. Post Malone, he's in so many different genres. I think it'd be cool. I definitely make pop, but I think it'd be cool to hop on like a rock and roll or maybe even a country. I'd do country with him. That'd be cool.
That would be electrifying, Philmon. That would be electrifying because I would love to see you guys do something with a Southern rock feel.
I think we could pull that off. You know, the Weekend. He just gives me those nostalgic vibes, and I just grew up off nostalgic like music. So definitely think it'd be cool to kind of tune in with that like a nostalgic feel. You know.
Absolutely. If you can do something with him like a Take Your Breath or Blinding Lights, that would be game over.
I think that's exactly what that feel like Blinding Lights gives you. I love that. I love that song. I think something like that would be crazy.
And to go back to Brandy Blanco, he's from my generation, one of my generation's best producers and producers of all time with all those hits that he's been on. That would just to see you two work together would be like an incredible explosion of delightfulness.
Yeah, it would definitely be awesome. I would love to.
Awesome. So we got to start winding down our conversation. So, what have been some of the As I told you in our introduction, you have over 122,000 followers on TikTok. So, what have been some of the best things that you've learned a lot about gaining your follower on TikTok, and how have your team handled that?
Um, to be honest with you, I think you should need to be yourself. Like when it comes to social media, I know a lot of people do like the trends and stuff like that, which is like it's definitely fun to do. But I definitely like the style of shooting where like have somebody follow me around for the day and just kind of get to know who I am. Because I like to think I'm a pretty funny guy. You know what I mean? So I like the stuff that's caught without me knowing. And just I guess you just gotta stay consistent too. Like when it comes to posting.
Absolutely. So, here's the second to last question. Are you ready?
Yep.
If you're meeting someone who's a recording artist, songwriter, or producer who is about ready to take that next step in getting signed, what advice would you share with them?
To be honest with you, man, it's kind of tough. You're gonna hear a lot of no's. You're gonna hear, maybe later, maybe some other time. You just got to be resilient. Don't let them get no out of their mouth. Make them say yeah. You know, um, you're the only person that can make it happen for sure. Um, just follow what your heart says. I know this sounds like, I know I've said this before. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but if you got a dream, you're only guaranteed one life, so you might as well try to live for your dream. Um,
Absolutely. I definitely think that living for our dreams would be wonderful. So, last question. Are you ready?
absolutely.
In addition to TikTok, where can my audience connect with you on social? And also, where can I find your music?
Okay, so my name's Philmon Lee, Philmonlee. Music, you can find me on YouTube, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, on all streaming platforms under Philmon Lee. Socials, I got TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find me on all of those, Philmon Lee, and on Twitter, it's Philmon Lee 1. That's where I am on all socials and streaming platforms.
Awesome, Philmon. So, guys, have you missed an episode of the Jake Steak with Jacob Elyachar podcast? Visit our channels on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Spotify, and Spreaker. It's Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Now it's Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. And also, if you want to read my take on Philmon's music and more music from the Epic Records artists, visit jake-shake.com. Once again, jake-shake.com. Philmon, it was an honor and privilege to talk with you. I'm so happy that you came over here. You have a bright future, my friend.
Thank you so much. It was an honor speaking to you as well.
You're so welcome. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great one, everybody. Goodbye.